Hey, it's 801 here on 88.7 FM WLUW, Chicago Sound the Lines, broadcasting from the beautiful campus of Loyola University. We're just cruising with a little Smokey Robinson here on the summer playlist. Don't forget to follow us on the social medias at WeekendGabe, at Morning Rush Shot, at WLUW. Joining us now, Chicago photojournalism journalist Timothy Hiatt. How you doing? Good morning.
Doing good. Thanks.
Good. Well, let's pump you up a little bit.
Pump
there you
me
go.
up.
There you go.
It's very early in the morning. I need to be pumped up as much as humanly possible.
I always like to play the slow songs a little bit. You know, then that usually kind of like either chills people out or they get. I like to ease in with slow songs and then sort of pick it up and then slow back down because people like if you have like too much energy, then they kind of come in hot.
Yeah.
So they're like, yo, I need to slow down.
I have never been accused of having too much energy. So you're well on your way.
So one of the things I like to ask people, because we're a Sunday morning show, is like, are you a Sunday morning person?
I am not a morning person of any day that ends in Y.
Really?
Yeah.
So every day's a struggle.
Every day is a struggle. Yes.
There you go.
So, you know, if I'm up by noon, that's an early riser for me.
Yeah, because most of the shows and things that you cover don't end till the morning.
Exactly.
So And do you do a lot of your post-production work like after, as soon as you get home, or do you kind of
I try to, yes.
Is it just better because like you're in the mood already to do it?
Yeah, sometimes I have to, and sometimes it's best to do that because if I put it off, it's not going to get done until.
Yeah.
If you say you need something in by next Wednesday, I'm going to have it for you at 11:55 Tuesday evening.
Does the client appreciate that? They're like, yeah, well, I could have waited a couple more days, but thanks.
Well, I figure, If they give me a deadline, it's on them because you know what you're getting into with that one. But the clients definitely want it as soon as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So the question begins, like, how did you get into this work? You were in high school, you dabbled in it a little bit, then figured out, like, maybe there's something here going on.
Yes. And back in high school, I took a...
Where did you go to high school, by the way?
I went to high school in a small town in Indiana that no one has ever heard of.
Is it still there?
Oh, the town's still there, yes.
Okay. So sometimes people talk about, like, their high schools, and then they're like, yeah, it's not even there anymore.
No, the high school's still there. Union County High School in Liberty, Indiana. Yes.
It sounds like a movie town high school, by the way.
It does, doesn't it? No, the town was very Mayberry-esque, actually. Very small town. You could fit the population in the Aragon and still have room in the balcony for plenty of people.
Yeah.
It was just that small. And so I started there and went to college at another small college, did another photography thing there, and then just kind of put it away for a while because it was never one of those things that you thought, you know, I could do this for a living.
Right.
And so me, being the genius that I was, I thought, hey, I'll do radio instead, because ample opportunity there for the big time payouts.
Well, I mean, radio, like, I'm not sure, like, what decade you're referring to when you were talking about this. Was the 70s?
No, I'm not quite that old yet.
Okay.
This was late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. So, which isn't a bad time because that's like the Howard Stern rise, which is like obviously like talk radio was starting to come into its own.
Right.
But then you still had like Casey Kasem was still doing the top 40.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like prominent radio voices that were noticeable and recognizable. So it was like a field that was still kind of like intriguing.
Right.
So you weren't far off.
No, just my timing was off.
Well, isn't that what everyone?
Well, yeah, that's kind of been the story of my life, actually. Right. But yeah, it was an alternative station, so it was right when pre-Nirvana, when everything was when the groundwork for alternative was.
It's like called a grunge, like the Seattle sound was starting to come about.
Yeah, so it was like Replacements and Husker Du and Minutemen, and all the Minneapolis fans.
Yeah,
coming into were like just peaking at that time, so it was fun to be in.
Was that your speed, by the way? So were you like playing music that you really enjoyed, or
yes?
Kind of like, okay.
Yeah. I was very lucky at that station, the top 40 station that I worked at. Also, not so lucky. But
did you have a on-air call name? Like
no, it was just me. It was no.
You just used your real name, like
Really?
Oh, did they try to like tell you like
No, actually, they told me to use the real name.
It's actually really good. It sounds like a stage name. I mean that in the most nicest way. Like some people were like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like I mean, like I just sort of combined or saw
Yeah.
the word Hiatt, and I was like, oh no, let me modify that.
Yeah, except the only time I ever used a stage name at that station, and of course it fooled nobody, but it was I would do an occasional metal show on Sunday nights, and Marshall Stack was the stage name.
Nice. There you go.
So, hey, that sounds cool. Okay. Marshall Stack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that, and then when I realized that there's no money in this for me.
But were you happy though?
Sure, we'll go with that. No, it was great.
I'm trying to like teach my son like whether or not things pay well or not, don't chase things for money, but like chase it for happiness.
Absolutely.
So
I could not agree more with that.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I'm
So you
very
decided
poor.
If you could see this man's shoes, you would understand what he's talking about. No, I'm kidding. They're
He's really not, actually.
I mean, well, I don't know what like the photographer getup is supposed to be.
The photographer getup is whatever you can get away with.
You're just supposed to blend in, all right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, if you're shooting, shows and events, you want to stay as inconspicuous as possible.
Yeah.
So black always works.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah.
So you decided to do the radio thing for what, like 5 years?
I did that for 5 years. Yes.
And then you land with the magazine.
And then actually then I moved to Chicago in the early 90s.
What made you want to come here first off? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Have you ever been to a small town in Indiana?
Just passing through?
That's all you need to know. That's all you need.
I've stopped for gas a couple times.
Yeah.
The people are very nice, but it definitely doesn't feel like the space that I want to grow in.
No, it was definitely not. I spent more than enough time there, so it was time to move on in Chicago.
Did you have any preconceived notions about Chicago, or did you have something here waiting for you?
No, I had nothing waiting for me here. A friend of my roommates at the time had a friend that lived in Chicago, and he came down one weekend and was talking it up and everything. And so I'm like, this is kind of what I've been looking for. Now I kind of know somebody.
Right.
And 2 weeks later, I moved up.
Nice.
Just like, okay, I'm going to do it. And showed up on his doorstep like, hey, can I borrow your couch for a little while? Sure. What was your name again? Yeah, okay. Yeah, come on in.
Those are always the best knocks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did that frequently in the early days.
Yeah. So you land here, and then what's your mission at that point?
The mission here was, I originally came up to try theater. And did that for a little while. Until radio, I realized I wasn't very good at that either, and then moved on to graphic design and that kind of thing, and then I landed with a magazine here in town.
I noticed that in a lot of the interviews, you never named the magazine. Is there a reason for that?
Oh no, it was Illinois Entertainer magazine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
totally, yeah. IE,
yeah.
Okay.
IE, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know if they print anymore. I used to read them all the time.
I think they still do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I used to work in a loop, so I used to get all the free magazines when I had the stands, like the Reader, the Red Eye when they were printing, and then the IE, and then I used to grab them all at the same time. And when I was taking classes at Harold Washington, so whenever I just had downtime, this is 10-15 years ago, but pre-internet, everything was online. But yeah, those were good times.
Yeah, no, it was great, and it was a great training ground for a whole bunch of different things.
Did you have experience in that graphic design, or you just kind of oh yeah?
I had enough.
Yeah,
I had enough to fake my way in.
There you go.
I had, I had done some. I had done some theater posters for various theater companies in town before that, and I had done a couple of freelance gigs, and went in for the interview, showed them all the stuff, and they're like, yeah, I guess you're good enough. So,
we'll give you a shot.
Yeah, exactly. And so that dominated the next several years of my life, and that's also what got me back into photography. So, I brought that around.
I like that.
Yeah,
the circle.
It's a good segue there.
Well, let's circle back. We're talking with Timothy Hiatt here on WLUW's The Morning Rush on Weekend Gabe. Hold down your Sunday morning. Don't forget to follow us on the social medias at Weekend Gabe, at Morning Rush, at WLUW. So you get the camera back in your hand.
Yes.
It was kind of like your idea. Like, hey, we're like doing all these features, but we don't have a lot of color and a lot of imagery.
Yeah, exactly. And we would do concert reviews and everything, and there'd be no images with it, or else we'd pull something off of their publicity site.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, which was my thinking as well.
Was that just a cost saving measure? They're like, hey, we're like this independent magazine.
I don't know if it was a cost saving measure or not, but I just don't think they had anybody that would really. I mean, we had a couple that would go out and shoot occasionally, and they were fine. And I'm looking at their stuff, going, yeah, I could probably do this as well. And so, luckily I was in the position where I could reach out to the publicists and everything and say, hey, listen, we got this show coming up. Can we get a photo pass for it? It's going to run online, it's going to run in the magazine. Sure. And so that's started out. And so anytime you need a photographer assigned to it, well, guess who's assigning the photographers? So yeah, I called my own number quite a bit.
Right.
That's where I really learned. That's when I got back into it seriously, and learned, I guess, as best I could.
Yeah.
Jury's still out on whether I've actually still learned anything. But
I think you're doing all right.
Yeah, I get lucky every now and then.
I mean, we all. Hey, breaks come whenever you least expect them.
Yeah, exactly.
So you started like hitting the shows. Was it most predominantly like show performances, or were you like just going out wherever the story was taken?
It was mostly performances.
Yeah.
Because if we do a feature on somebody, it was generally a major act that weren't going to be around anywhere.
Yeah.
So I couldn't set up anything. Occasionally I would do shoots with some of the people we did features on, but for the 98% of what I did was music shows.
So like you actually going out there in the photo pit, taking photographs.
Exactly.
What was that like getting back into it? Sort of getting your feet back wet into the.
It was great. It's just one of those moments where after a little while you go, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
Because the other stuff I've done is great. That's fine, but this is really what kind of fires the engines.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life, which I hope I can do, because I have no other marketable skills whatsoever. So if this goes away, I am what's the word? Screwed.
Yeah. A Chicago rapper Common has this great line that he says, and you photographed him. That he's like, I'm writing for my life because I'm scared of a day job.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I imagine you're the same way, like you're shooting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just hope at some point no one figures out that he's kind of a fraud. He really doesn't know what he's doing. So
I think you've already passed that smell test. I think because like I was just like Googling around last night, and like you had like some work in it was Japanese, and so I was like, I couldn't read it, but it was like but you could the only thing that was kind of English was your name, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So your reach is obviously extended past just being local and.
Right.
Americanized.
Oh yeah, I'm huge worldwide. I'm huge in Japan.
Well, so maybe Getty got your photo to someone in Japan.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean that you landed there, but
someone was Googling in Japan. It's like, oh hey, I'll take that one.
But at least they gave you credit for it.
Yeah. Thanks for that. That's great.
Have you like Googled yourself and just seen like why are my photos being used? Like is Do you get royalties off that when people publish it?
Yes, that's one of the things with shooting with Getty is the royalties, and when I tell people that I do Google myself, it's not ego. It's like to find out who's using what. Yeah. And not paying me for it.
Got it. As a business, like, is it your responsibility to go chase people to?
It depends. I have clients of my own that I work with, and I've never had to chase anyone.
That's some like bill collector
notices. No, I haven't had to send Moose and Rocco to help them find their wallets.
Oh, so you like to download and copy photos without permission, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's almost impossible task.
A good friend of mine who's much more established than I am and been doing it for a lot longer, literally takes days out of his week just to chase down people that are, that have used his stuff, and rightfully so.
Because, it's probably better to just hire someone to do that.
Yeah, it is.
Like, to just cut them in on whatever you retrieve.
Exactly.
It's like teaching, just like a lawyer. Like, if you get money, if I get money, you get money.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone really wants to do that, but so you get back into it with the Illinois Entertainment. You start taking photos again. You start building a network of, like you said, building relationships with publicists.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading that you're like, the networking thing is important, but it's kind of like what you do with it though as well is equally as important. So it's not so much just having someone knowing you, but also like them knowing what your abilities are as well,
right?
To then count on you, or to give you like a job to like, hey, I know that Tim's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give it to him.
Right.
So like, talk about like how like you started getting into that where like you start building your relationships and people expanding your portfolio.
The basic thing about networking, and this is what I tell people who always ask me, what can I do to get in and be a professional photographer, because I want to shoot shows and everything. And then after I tell them, don't.
It's like, I don't need the competition.
Well, there's just so many people doing it these days also.
Well, we're going to get into that too.
Yeah,
like
okay.
the transition. Yeah.
But networking is just critical because, and when you're starting out, don't be afraid to do jobs for no money.
Yeah.
I know that is just not heard of from other photographers that I know.
Right.
But there's so many people doing it, and if you have a situation where someone is going to throw an event or something and you want to get in with those people, offer them your services for the first time. You're just discount your rate.
Yeah.
Whatever, because there are going to be people at that event that are also going to need
services. Yeah.
And those are the ones you get, okay, well, here's my rate. And just be nice to everyone.
Yeah.
Which is very tough for me occasionally. But but yeah, the networking aspect is critical, and it's not just potential clients, it's with other photographers.
Yeah.
It's with venues, because if you become good friends with other photographers and they know your stuff, well, they're going to have stuff that they can't do.
Right.
Because they've already got something. And so they're going to look for somebody to, replace them, someone that they can trust.
Sure.
And so they're going to say, oh, okay, well, how about you? I like your stuff. You're a good person. Go ahead. And I'll give you their name and go from there. That's how I got started with a lot of my offshoot clients. I didn't steal anyone's clients that I know of, but...
Yeah, that's unethical.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Or if you're going to, don't get caught.
we live in a world where everything comes out, so
exactly.
It's probably best, especially if you're early in your career.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now I do that too. I have people that I know and trust, and if I can't do something, then definitely have them do it.
Yeah.
Because and if someone does that, make sure you don't embarrass them. Because if I send somebody out to shoot something that I can't shoot, and they are just, it doesn't work out, that reflects on me. And vice versa. If I go shoot something for somebody and I don't work out, then that's on, that makes them look bad.
Right.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many ways to get into it.
Yeah. We're talking with Timothy Hiatt, Chicago photographer, here on The Morning Rush on WLUW 88.7 FM. I'm Weekend Gabe, holding down your Sunday morning. So, at what point, how long are you with the Illinois Entertainment, doing shows?
I started shooting shows seriously for them in 2006.
So, my assumption is that you've been doing this for like 30 years.
Yeah, if you don't take in the break between college and when I started again, about that.
But the fact that you're fairly new to this, like you're like 10, 13 years in.
Yeah, coming up on my 15th anniversary of doing it seriously.
To make that leap from like sort of like, and usually people start their careers very early, straight out of college, and then they build their way up, and they're doing it like for 30, 40 years, whatever. Right. It seems like you kind of started this kind of late in your journey is like late getting into this
late
work.
In my life journey, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, just because I never thought that it would be a viable option.
Yeah.
And so, I went a couple of careers in.
Yeah.
That's when I picked it up again. And the thing that allowed me to do it full time was when the magazine said, "Hey, you know what? You know that thing you do for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that on our own and save money. So, thank you for your time." Which turned out to be the best thing that ever happened.
Because you got all the experience, anyways.
I got the
you got what you needed.
I got what I needed, and not to sound completely mercenary, they got what they needed to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But that laid the groundwork, and that allowed me to make the connections that I could go on and do it full time.
Yeah. Did that hurt when they let you go?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
a little bit. But it's understandable because it happens in every job, no matter what you do. There's going to be a time when okay, well, we need some cost cutting. We need to save some money, which is completely understandable. So there's absolutely no bad feelings whatsoever about it. It was great, and I couldn't be where I am now without them.
It kind of felt like once the everything started to revolutionize into digital, and it became quicker, more inexpensive.
Yeah.
But then I think there was a moment where I can't remember how many years ago this was. The Sun-Times, they had cut their entire photography staff, like one person.
Yeah.
And I think the next day's newspaper, after this news came out, they had posted a photo on their cover, and it looked just so distorted. And people were like, "What are you doing? This is exactly why you need professional photographers.
Yeah,
because you can't shoot the cover of the Sun-Times on a BlackBerry phone. It's
right.
Let's not go there." But
no, I know a lot of the guys there that got caught in the purge.
Yeah.
They've come along since. They've got a couple of them that shoot with them now are very good.
Yeah.
So, but the whole.
Yeah, I know that rubs you guys probably the wrong way.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
because it's kind of a larger version of when someone asks you, what you would charge to do a shoot for them, and you tell them, and they say, "Oh, okay, well, my cousin has a camera. I'll just let him do it." Okay, sure, go right ahead. That's fine with me.
But it's like a trained security guard versus the guy with the gun. It's you could do that, but there's skills, and also it's like one of those things where I think it was a meme where I was reading it, someone was drew, it was a drawing, and someone drew it in 10 minutes, and they were like, "Why am I paying you so much money to do something that could take you 10 minutes?" And I'm like, "You're not paying me for that. You're paying me for all the experience that I went through to get to this point to draw for 10 minutes.
You're paying me for the education to learn how to do this. My time
to expedite the process.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, and that's I deal with that on shoots all the time. But you're only going to be there for an hour. Okay, well, but I'm going to travel there. I'm going to edit your stuff. If I'm shooting something for 2 hours, and you're going to tack on an extra hour or so for travel, and you're going to tack on an extra 2 or 3 hours for editing, and then I'm going to have to deliver it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
No, I understand. This woman, after we had our baby in the hospital at Illinois Masonic, and I guess the hospital has a service with a photographer this organization or whatever, and they came in and they were like, "Hey, we want to shoot your baby. You don't have to pay for anything. You just look at it and decide whether or not you like it or not." And I really liked the photos. And then it was oh yeah, it's $150 just for just to have the digital, and it's $500 for this full package. Yeah. And I was just and I thought about that too, because I'm well, this woman has probably been doing her craft for a long time. And I ended up just getting the digital, they emailed it to me and they sent me a text of it, and I was on my phone right away, and I loved the photos. My wife did too. She thought it was really crazy what I spent on it, but it's I just kind of felt this woman has probably done this so many times that it's easy for her, and we're looking at it a 5-10 minute thing, but the amount of energy and the lighting and things that people who pull out their phones and don't even consider she's adjusting to these things, and she like took one of our blankets that we got when we came into the hospital, and she used it like formed it like as a pillow, and it was just like this really innovative improvisation that someone who's just shooting, you know, on their phone would never have conceived or thought of.
Right.
So it's like I want to champion those people for the work that they do, and yeah, it's a little bit pricey, but it's like, but you get quality work.
Yeah, and if it was in the hospital, you know, maybe you could put it on the insurance bill.
I don't know.
Just sneak that in the little line item thing.
No, I don't want to. Yeah, you know, I don't want to get caught up in any insurance fraud, Tim.
Again.
Again. That's how I afford this wonderful life.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So you're let go from Illinois Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Then what's the next journey?
Then the next thing was about 6 months of saltines in water. If I got a job, maybe I could put ketchup on them.
There you go.
And then I just got extremely lucky, because that's about 4 months after the magazine job ended. That's when I got in with Getty Images.
All right, for those who are not familiar with Getty, a lot of times people see Getty Images on like time-stamped or like a water logo on photos.
Yeah, basically any image you see nowadays, Getty has a hand in. And newspapers, magazines, websites, anything, they're the main image wire service in the world.
Right.
And I'd wanted to, you know, get in with them since I got back into it. And it was one of those where, good luck with that.
Yeah.
A couple of my friends shot for them, and I would bug them about, you know, hey, how do I get in with them? Come on,
sure.
Hey, come on, give it up. How do I get in?
Yeah.
And basically the way you get in with them is get them something that they want that no one else has. So, good luck with that.
How did you go about trying to achieve that? That seems very vague, by the way.
It is. it is. It is incredibly vague, and you just don't know what's going to happen, or how it's going to happen, or if it's ever going to happen.
Right.
And I got extremely lucky on New Year's Day 2011 when I went to shoot Chuck Berry at the Congress Theater. And luckily, Chuck is one of those that lets you shoot the whole show. Now, if you don't know concert photography and you don't know the ins and outs of it, generally you get 3 songs and then you leave.
Yeah.
That used to be the standard. Now sometimes it's 2. Now sometimes it's 1. Now a lot of times you have to shoot from the soundboard, which means you're going to be, 50 yards away from everything.
That's all the way in the back for people who arrive late.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to get the exact same shots that the person next to you is getting, because you can't move around. But you can shoot Chuck from the pit, you can shoot the whole show, and about 40 minutes into the show, he goes over to the keyboard, slumps down on it, and just kind of stays there for about 5 minutes. Not doing anything, just kind of heavy breathing and the likes. And I'm getting shots of this and everything. And after about 5 minutes, he gets up, walks off stage, and that was it, for the most part. They called paramedics in, I guess, to check him out. About 20 minutes later, he comes back, does one song to close out everything, and I go home and didn't really think anything about it. Didn't even download my cards onto the computer. Next morning, I wake up and every morning show is running the headline, Chuck Berry collapses in Chicago. And I'm thinking, do they mean that bit at the keyboard with the thing where he didn't do anything? And so the word got out that they had to call paramedics. And so I texted a friend of mine who shot for Getty and said, do you think Getty would be interested in this Chuck Berry thing that everybody is talking about? And he said, I don't know, I'll email the editors. And an hour later, one of the editors from New York emailed me back and said, sure, we'd love to have him. So that was my entrance.
Yeah.
And once you're in with them like that, if you're good, you're in with them.
Yeah.
And so that was the start of my career with them. And then, it took a little while for them to, trust me enough to
still warm up to you.
Yeah, to start sending me things and then the likes. But that was my entrance.
Yeah.
And if that hadn't happened, I don't know what I would be.
Is there like a lesson from that experience of like just maybe like even though you were kind of like you knew that Getty wanted something that no one else had, but it's also not forcing the issue of trying to create something that no one else has versus letting it organically happen and you being there at the right time.
That's a very good point. You cannot force, you can't force moments.
Right.
You have to be ready for them when they happen, and you have to have the instinct to know what's important and what's not.
Yeah.
Obviously, my view of importance was a little retroactive because since I just said I didn't even mention, if I hadn't seen anything on the news,
you
wouldn't have known.
Exactly. And no one else was there that night, so you were like...
Oh, there were other photographers there, yes.
Okay.
But...
Yeah. But they weren't working with Getty, so... They're like, we don't have rights to anything.
They didn't have the contacts, or they didn't... I don't know if they knew or not, but... Yeah,
for sure.
I did, so... That's where I went with it.
Nice. We're talking with Timothy Hiatt, Chicago photojournalist here on WLUW's The Morning Rush on WeekendGabe. So you've been with Getty 8-9 years now, running with them.
Mm-hmm.
And take us into the experience. You've done red carpet, you've done the photo pit, you've done portraits with celebrities and obviously famous musicians. Is it when we see the runways at like the Oscars and people are standing in one place and you're looking for them to look in your direction, like describe the chaos that is of having like 50 cameras all like beaming in one place, the flashing. Is that like, how do you stay focused? How do you stay concentrated on getting what you need versus everyone else asking for what they need?
The good thing about doing red carpets here in Chicago is it's vastly different than New York or LA.
Yeah.
Because I've done red carpets in New York also, and it is chaos that you describe. A lot of shouting. Everybody, look here, flashing. I do not understand how people actually walk the red carpet.
I don't know.
Because it's just, and God bless them for doing it, because everything is flashing in your face, and it's people literally shouting at you. Look over here, give me a look right here. Thank you, can I have you over here? And in Chicago, it's not really like that because there aren't as many people doing it, and the photographers in Chicago are very respectful to one another, for the most part. There are a few that aren't, and those are quickly, weeded out as far as the good, quote, good ones.
The photo community will like ostracize you and outcast you.
That's not far from the truth, but it's very, very respectful, not only to each other, but to the people you were shooting.
Yeah.
I remember one time Justin Timberlake was doing the red carpet with us, and he, like halfway through, was like, "Oh my God, you guys are so nice. What's wrong with you?" like this is the calmest, best red carpet I've ever done. And we're like, well, we can fix that if you feel more comfortable. We can throw things at you.
Shout at you.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's much more sedate, much more even keel here in town for that kind of stuff.
Is it just because it's New York and so there is a lot more LA, like there's photographers coming in from different parts of the world for these events, so obviously the same community here is not
a red carpet you would shoot here with 10 people, you would shoot with 75 to 100 photographers in New York. Because it's just bigger.
That's why I was gonna suggest that as well. It's like the events are a little bit bigger.
Yeah, that's just more of a media hub, so there's just always something going on there.
Yeah.
But here it's good to shoot here in town.
Yeah.
That's why I want to stay here.
Yeah. Is there a favorite moment that you have? You shared with me last time we talked about a year ago during your exhibit was the Kiss moment.
The Kiss is my favorite concert moment.
Yeah. But for those who haven't heard it yet.
That was one where I was the only photographer they approved to shoot that night. This is Kiss, and they put on a show.
How do you become the lone photographer of the night?
I think that was one just because the magazine had run a cover, had them on the cover, so...
Got it. So that like exclusive rights to shoot.
Yeah, that's the only one. And so I go to shoot that, and they give you 2 songs instead of 3, which is actually more than you need for them.
Right.
Because for the first 2, they are playing to the photographers to the point where you go, okay, I've got it, now go do your show so I can actually get that.
Right. Something natural, yeah.
Yeah, so Paul Stanley, the guitarist, is playing to me the whole time, and he goes back to the drum riser, midpoint of a song, and I figure, okay, well, this will allow me to go and get everybody else. So I go to stage right, start shooting the guitarist, and then out of the corner of my eye, I see him back at center stage, staring me down because he has his guitar between his legs. Just like, what the heck are you doing over there? I'm doing stuff here. Get over here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just shoot that. And it ended up being some of the best shots I've ever gotten out of a show.
Is that the photo that we get on your website?
That is the main one.
Yeah,
yes,
it's fantastic.
Of him on the ground, looking right at me.
Yeah, I was reading one of the interviews you did, and I think we were at the same place at the same time because you said you were shooting Common for one of his movies. I think it was the Love movie over at the Icon, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt is there doing Looper.
Yes,
and I was at that red carpet. It was like the first. Like I had like my little Canon phone, so it was like it's ridiculous. But I was just grabbing interview audio from Common at the time. But I was like, oh yeah, I was at that. Like because the Looper was playing at the same time, and I know there was an event going on at the same time.
Yeah.
But like kind of like what your story was that you were done with Common, and then you sort of just found yourself.
Yeah, I stumbled upon a red carpet, and
how often does that happen?
That has never happened before, and never happened since. But it's also a good lesson about networking and being good with publicists and the people that you work with, because I had no idea that Joseph Gordon-Levitt was there doing this thing.
Yeah.
And at the time, Rian Johnson was the director of that one, who went on to direct
Star Wars,
Last Jedi.
A lot of people probably love or hate him, depending on who you ask. But go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, we could do another hour and a half on that one. But yeah, so I shoot the Common red carpet, and then I walk in and find this, and I knew the rep who was running that red carpet, and what's going on here?
Right.
It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And so I said, well, do you mind if I step in? He said, sure, by all means, go right ahead.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a relationship with them and you ask that question, they'll be calling security to
get out of here.
Beat you severely about the head and ears for the next 5 minutes. So yeah, that was. I'm still waiting for another day of just stumbling upon
happenstance.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else? What else are some of your fond moments of the photography world, or just or things that have happened where like this is like really amazing?
Things that have happened. My favorite red carpet story is when Transformers, I think it was 5, which
I've lost count.
I know. Yeah. They had their premiere here in town, and I was shooting everything for Paramount, and so I was front and center on red carpet. And all of the cast was there, including Anthony Hopkins, who was obviously picking up a paycheck.
Yeah.
Doing Transformers.
I'm not mad at him.
Oh, no, I cannot fault that at all. No, I've shot 1-year-old's birthday parties. So, but Hopkins comes out, sees me, and points at me and says, "Oh, hey, I remember you. You shot in New York, right? Yeah, good to see you again." I'm like, yeah, very good to see you too. Of course, all the photographers are looking at me like, "What?"
Anthony Hopkins knows who you are.
And so we do that. And the way they had the red carpet set up, that was they had the photos, the still photography first, then you went to another section, did the video, and did a third section of all the social media stuff. And after the red carpet wrapped up, I went down to the social media place to get some portrait type stuff with the cast. And saw Hopkins again. He did quick portraits with him. He shakes my hand, pats me on the shoulder. "No, very good to see you again." I have never met Anthony Hopkins in my life. I don't even think I've been in the same state as Anthony Hopkins at any point. But am I going to tell the knighted
Sir
Oscar-winning
Anthony Hopkins?
Sir Anthony? No, you doddering old fool. We've never met. Just
keep it moving. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, it's great to see you. Looking awesome.
Hey, call me when you get to town next time, okay? That'd be great.
You know, take your moments when you can get them.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not proud.
No, that's fine. I probably would have ran. It's like my neighbor. It's like sometimes I don't know their name, or people like run. No, I love the you run into someone, you know their face, but you don't know their name. You're like, oh hey, you, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, and it gets to a certain point after like 2 or 3 times where you can't ask them anymore.
No,
because like, hey, good to see you, Chief.
Yeah. No, you can't do that.
Yeah. The other great moment I had, I was doing a shoot in New York at Cyndi Lauper was doing a benefit show, and she did red carpet beforehand, and she comes out flashing away, and she starts staring at me, not looking happy, and after a minute or two, she walks towards me. And I'm thinking, oh crap, what have I done? Now what I do? I don't think I've done anything, just be cool. She gets up to, a couple feet from me, starts talking to the guy over my shoulder who had been flashing with his camera phone.
Yeah.
And she just says to him, when you do that, you're ruining the pictures. And I just thought, I love you so hard right now.
Making it hard for everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Because I thought, oh my God, what have I done? And like, no, I did nothing.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So obviously we live in a digital space where everyone has a camera phone. Some are better than others. How does competing with that world, obviously it makes your job that much more difficult. We were talking a little bit earlier, but there slowly is building an appreciation for professional photography versus those that are shot on, which is not to take away from iPhone or any device, because you make the best of what you have. Right. So transitioning from the contact sheet world, we're just talking with Vicky Toback, who put out the wonderful Contact High history of visual history of hip hop. I should highly recommend you pick it up. But going from the days of contact sheets to the digital world, how has that transition been for you as far as artists, but also competing with some of these other forms of technology that have cut into the business side of things?
I think any advancement in technology, for the most part, is a good thing.
Sure.
And I have no problem with anyone shooting anything with whatever they can, if you're professional about it. If you act like you've been there before. At a show, if you're shooting with a camera phone, you're not going to get anything great for the most part.
Right.
You may luck into something, which is fine. But don't be the person that just stands in the middle of the pit, holding your camera phone up as high as you can and getting in people's way. Act like you've been there before. Go in, get your stuff, back out. I do the same thing. Getting back out. I try not to do that. Standing on stage, dancing. Although occasionally in the Social Distortion show, I found myself doing that.
It happens.
It happens. Yeah, come on. They start playing Bad Luck. You gotta dance. So I don't care what you're shooting with, just as long as you know what you're doing.
Right.
Or at least act like you know what you're doing. I've been acting like I know what I'm doing for a long time. But the technology advances at a pace where you can't, it's inevitable. You can't help but have to, deal with it and learn and adjust for the times.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And, in the end, the quality will out.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Over budget. They'll see that it's worth, spending something to get something.
Right.
Yeah. Because one of the people that I had the situation with where, I told him I'd shot something with them before, and then their budget wasn't as big the next year, so okay, we're going to go with my cousin. And the week after that, they reached out saying, gosh, we made a mistake. We should have.
Yeah.
We should have gone with that. We should have gone with you again. And I said, well, yeah.
You get what you pay for.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, technology is going to advance, and if you don't advance with it, you get left behind.
Yeah, exactly. I read that you like to use a lot of Nikon products, not because necessarily it's the best or the greatest, but because that's what you're familiar with.
It is absolutely the best and the greatest. To any Nikon reps listening,
those were my words, not necessarily
that
yours.
Want to sponsor. No, the gear you use is what you're comfortable with, and what you want to make the investment in.
Yeah.
Because if you shoot with Nikon, then you're shooting with Nikon lenses, and you're shooting with Nikon accessories.
And a lot of this stuff isn't interchangeable.
No, you cannot.
So if you go with something, then
exactly, you're in for it. And that's just why I shoot with Nikon, because
you already have.
That's what I have, and it's and I really can't afford to spend another $30,000.
Yeah.
Switching over to get all the stuff again.
How much would you guesstimate that you've invested into equipment alone over the time of your career?
20,000 probably.
Yeah, which seems light.
Yeah. Does it? Sure doesn't to me.
Well, we're spanning like 20 years of you doing this.
Yeah.
So
and that's just camera gear and studio lighting and all the accoutrements that go with it.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned like a lot of the professionalism and the things like just sort of the attitude of doing this work, but like for those who are like really trying to just start somewhere, I've been told just like use subjects that are around you. Like you have a dog, you have children. Like use the things that are around you and just practice working on those.
Shoot anything and everything you can. If you have dogs, shoot dogs. You just go out and try street photography. If you want to get into the music part of it, odds are if you are in the artistic field where you're going to be thinking about pursuing photography, people in bands. Go shoot their shows.
Right.
Go shoot their small shows. Odds are you're not going to be shooting the Stones.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Right.
So go to a small club, shoot that. That is actually a much better learning process, because you're going to learn how to deal with really bad lighting and small cramped spaces, and it's gonna toughen you up, gonna season you, gonna get you to learn the limits of your camera and yourself.
Yeah. Do you see like? I'm pretty sure you run into a lot of photographers, newer and veterans. Is there a take from those who are just getting into this, like like they're owed something, or like their attitude towards the work is like, I deserve this, but like you're kind of mentioning like, no, there's a process to this.
Not really. I haven't seen much of that.
Okay.
Because occasionally some people will reach out to me and ask my advice and want me to mentor them, and if I can, I'm happy to.
Sure.
That's great, because when I was first getting back into it, I had people that helped me out immensely.
Pay it forward.
Yeah, exactly. So I have absolutely no problem whatsoever helping people out if I can. Generally what I tell them is to take everything I say and do the exact opposite, because that'll be a better, you'll probably succeed more doing it that way. Of course you're going to find some people that come in with an attitude and a chip on their shoulder, and they get their first big commission, whether it's I'm shooting for a blog, or I'm actually get in to shoot with a magazine, and they think, okay, well, hey, I'm shooting for this magazine, why aren't you giving me the whole set? Right. And it doesn't work that way. Yeah. But those are few and far between. Sure. And they generally don't last.
Yeah, exactly. So what's your plans this summer? Like how many shows have you got out to this year?
I have not gotten out to many shows, because I actually do not shoot much music anymore. Because
I realized that looking at some of your shots on your website.
Yeah.
A lot more portraits.
Yeah, I'm trying to do a lot more of the creative stuff that allow me to be experimental and figure out and push myself. Yeah. As far as music goes, the business is just getting into a lot of really, it's not like it used to be. Back in my day,
Tell us about it, Tim.
I tell you, you could go to the show and you could hang with Mick and shoot on stage and all that. And nobody cared. But now a lot of it, because of the proliferation of all the media out there, a lot of the artists' people are just really tightly regulating what they can do and how they look, which I have never really understood why professional photographers are the ones that get caught in that, because, I've asked publicists, and don't get me wrong, there are a lot of really good publicists that know how to serve their client and know which people are going to, work with them,
right,
that aren't going to make them look like idiots.
Right.
And I'm good friends with several of them, and they're just fantastic. And then you have the ones that, don't care and say, well, we don't want you shooting from here because we want to protect the artist's image.
Yeah, which doesn't.
Okay, which is fine and understandable, but when you consider that the professionals that are actually there to make your client look as good as humanly possible, you're kicking out while the kid with the camera phone right behind is firing away and posting immediately.
Yeah.
And
who's almost hoping that you did something terrible happen so that they can get the the attention.
Yeah, exactly. Because a professional photographer will not let a shot of your artist go out that makes them look bad, because it makes me look bad.
Right. Because you have no class.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, a shot of your client that makes them look bad is unfortunate. A shot that makes me look bad is unacceptable.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna knowingly let that happen.
Yeah. Well, did that moment with Buddy Guy, did you get any pushback from his people? Like we don't want you sharing these photos of him in this moment where he's probably having a heart attack or some sort of thing.
Of Chuck.
Chuck, I'm sorry. That's not Buddy Guy. My apologies.
No, because I didn't put anything out that would be.
It wasn't salacious.
No,
yeah,
no.
It was just people were actually legitimately concerned about.
Yeah, no. Actually, all the one shot that I submitted from that show was of him doing his show, not of him.
Yeah.
I have one shot of him at the piano.
Yeah,
when he was doing that. But other than that, everything was just from the show itself.
Got it. Yeah.
So
are you? Do you have a studio? Can people book you to do? How does it work? How do you get Timothy's services?
Book me for anything and everything except weddings. No, I have a. You could call it a studio. It's enough space to in my place to hang backdrops and set up all the gear.
Yeah.
But the portrait stuff is what I'm really enjoying most right now.
Nice. Okay.
I have people that I work with a lot that I get to know and know what they can do, and they know what I can do, and trust me, and I like working with a certain number of people repeatedly.
Right.
Instead of being one of those that just sets up cattle calls and come and I'll shoot you here, and I'll make everyone I shoot look the same.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the curse of the Instagram photographer.
Yeah, sadly that's true.
Yeah. So and that's just lazy, in my opinion. And I may be wrong. I often am. About a great many things.
Well, we're not supposed to trust your judgment, as you said, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. None of these statements have been vetted or cleared by the USDA, so.
No, not at all. Tell people where they can find you and all your.
They can find my website at timothyhiatt.com. That's Hiatt with an I, not with a Y.
Right.
Because I wouldn't need to be doing this if it were spelled with a Y.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You'd be all right.
Yeah, timothyhiatt.com is my website. Facebook and Instagram, Timothy Hiatt.
There you go. Branding 101. Make sure it's all the same thing.
Yeah. Or as close as humanly possible.
Yeah, unless there's another Timothy Hiatt out there who does photography.
I hope not.
I gotta find him.
Yeah. Because that guy's probably really good.
Not to be confused.
Exactly. Oh, I thought I was getting the other one. Wait a minute.
I remember when I was a kid, there was a kid named Irvin Johnson who played for he was just this bum player, but it's like Magic Johnson was clearly not the same guy. But Timothy, man, thank you so much for coming in, man. We appreciate it. We had fun talking about your journey.
Thank you.
All right, that's our time here on WLUW. Coming up next Sunday, we're going to be talking with closed session recording artist Johnny Jones. He has a new EP that's we're going to premiere here on Sunday morning, so you don't want to miss that. Tune into the Morning Rush starting at 7 a.m. every Sunday here on WLUW. Voices from the Circle is due up next. Enjoy your Sunday. Go Sox, and we'll do it again next Sunday right here on 88.7 FM WLUW.